I think that we should have a movement started. We need about 10 million people saying, Mr. President, if you're going to do this, we'd like to see you go as an ordinary citizen, stand in that line, you know, fly on a commercial airline, stand on that line, and have a public pat down. And I'll tell you what, if that doesn't wake him up, but nothing ever will. But that's what we need to do. So anybody who would like that suggestion, send them a little note and say, you go through it once and see what it's like. Let all your kids go through it. So that, to me, would maybe wake up a couple people.
And it is sad because it has become the new normal. You know, when it first came out, there were some protests. People were upset. But, you know, I flew last month with my son, and everyone just kind of droned through the scanner. Nobody opted out. Nobody wants to be the odd man out. And, you know, my son was kind of happy. He said, this is our one little form of protest that we can do is to opt out. But they sure give it to you. Talk about a wake-up call.
Now, the one thing usually leads to another. And this type of things make people fearful, and this crossing borders and travel thing. And I think right now we're moving toward the real ID card. And that means everybody will be carrying their papers to go interstate and every place, get a job, whatever. And that's what that is all about. But, you know, rebelling, nonviolent civil disobedience is a powerful tool. You know, Martin Luther King knew about it, and Gandhi knew about it. And some people have already started. One person I really admire, he's been on our show a couple times, somebody I've known for 30 years, and that's Walter Williams. And he's a famous Austrian free market speaker and still does teaching. And he gets requests. He told me he gets requests for speeches. And he said, I'm not coming. I'd love to do it. But if you send me an airplane, I'll come, but I will not go through TSA. So he has revolted, and he says he's not going to do it. And it's just too bad that a few of us aren't that ready to do that, because everybody, business people, but maybe technology will help solve this problem. Maybe the business people will go on strike and just say, look, we'll do our meeting over the intercom, you know, over telemarketing, you know, the teleprompters and things like that, and do it electronically just to make it certain. The other thing that bothers me to no end is the airlines like this kind of stuff. They didn't want the liability. They were passing TSA. They didn't want the liability. They wanted the government to be in charge. Of course, it was the government being in charge before 9/11 that told people they couldn't resist, and all kinds of rules. The pilots weren't allowed to have guns, and they set this stage up. So they're in collusion. So the airlines, because it is so well controlled by government, they're really part of the government. But in a free society where property is important, there's so many thousands of places in this country, chemical plants on down, that need protection. Banks need protection. And it's usually done by private individuals that do this. But no, this has to be government, and this has to be monolithic. This has to be done by people that are completely uninterested in protecting liberty, and that they'll use any amount of force to do what they think they should do.
What's sad is a younger generation is growing up now that will never know what it was like to not have this horrible restrictions and invasive procedures. But you know, I remember at the